Like, I'm a talentless couch potato, but I've probably danced for half the people in your iTunes playlist.
Please welcome to the stage, Tom Malone Junior.
I was a very working class lad in a very middle class environment.
I think obviously a lot of people know from Gogglebox.
It was great to be able to share something like that with my family, but it was never the end goal. And my mum turned around to my dad and said, I think Thomas wants to dance. I just dived headfirst into dance.
He was 19 and then you were in Vegas.
We were getting up to all kinds of shenanigans. We got asked to do BBC Radio and Teen Awards, and Rita Ora and Nick Grimshaw were hosting it. I was doing red carpets with Rough Diamond and stuff. I did Mobos with Wiley. I did a music video for the Cortinas. It was a mad period of time. I've not always had a good head on my shoulders, by the way. As a kid, I had to learn how to survive in a world of neurotypical people. Now we know that I'm autistic.
When did you find out that you had it?
I was 28. All that means is you process things differently, but you're going to deal with the same actions and consequences as everyone else. So I'm one of 6. My younger brother got seriously ill. I put him in the back of the car. He started to have a seizure in the back of the car. They've put him in a drug-induced coma, given him a bunch of brain surgeries. Told my mum and dad he had a 1 in 10 chance of survival. As much as going to the hospital and stuff was concerned, I didn't really go as often as I probably should. But I was very much like, if the worst was to happen, I didn't want to remember him like that. I think my outlook on everything kind of changed.
It's gonna bring me down.
Our champion for today is Tom Malone Junior. You probably know him from Gogglebox, but his story's much deeper. A working class lad from Manchester managed to make a career into professional dance and perform for the biggest names in music such as Rita Ora, Fergie and Wiley. Then if that's not enough, he got diagnosed with autism at 28 and now he breaks down at Stigma online. Well, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. The man himself is on our mantelpiece, Mr. Tyson Fury.
Like a weird version of the Sacred Heart, innit?
The Sacred Heart? What's the Sacred Heart?
In like Catholic families, when you have to say, like, it's Jesus, like this for me is like heart-burning.
Oh, yeah. You're not wrong. Yeah, no.
Maybe that's that I grew up in a very Catholic family, so we had it like on the wall.
Right,
so,
okay.
Yeah.
What was that like growing up in a Catholic family?
A lot of Jesus.
A lot of Jesus. Is that something that you're still massively passionate about and believe in, or is it?
I'm not like go to church every week, but yeah, I still have faith. I'm still quite strong, but I still pray, still all that stuff.
That's good.
The good bits.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, Tyson's a massive believer in faith.
Yeah.
He's very, very open and honest about that on his Instagram, and he believes where he's got to is through God.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Get the strength from somewhere, you know.
Yeah. Well, no, obviously, I think a lot of people will know who you are, but you've had such a varied career.
Yeah, I've done a bit of everything.
A bit of everything. I went on Google because I think obviously a lot of people know from Gogglebox.
Yeah.
Right? Was that the start of the career?
No, so it started a long time before then. So I was a professional dancer first from being like 14. So I was dancing professionally. I've danced for like Rita Ora, Emily Sandé, Wiley, done the Mobos, done Radio 1 Teen Awards, like done loads of stuff.
It's not a small list, that.
No. Yeah, and then I was teaching at a dance studio in Manchester.
Yeah.
As well as like the performing side. And my mum used to cover the reception sometimes.
Okay.
And the producers from Gogglebox just rang up and asked if they knew any good families for it. And the woman that owned the studio suggested me and my mum.
Right.
They came in the next day. And yeah, I was in the studio behind the reception, which has got a glass front on it.
Yeah.
With my head against the wall doing this because I was trying to work out why my windmill to headspin wasn't working right. So they've come in, they've said to my mum, are you Julie? She said, yeah. And they've gone, and is that Tom? And my mum's turned around and just like face palmed herself because I'm my head on the wall doing this. And she's gone, yeah, and they must have just thought, these are not right in the head. This is going to be fun.
Yeah. So, I mean, for a producer, they're probably like, they've seen you doing that, like, this is going to be golden.
Yeah, and that's before they even met my dad, before they knew we had 6 dogs at the time.
Yeah.
Like, so the more we told them, the more they were like, this is a madhouse.
Yeah.
And we said no at first.
Did you?
Yeah, we said no at first.
Why was that?
Well, we'd never watched the show, so we, like most people when they first hear Gogglebox, we thought, just sitting around watching people watch TV, like, yeah, it doesn't sound great.
Yeah.
So we said no. My dad was like, oh, there's going to be cameras in the house all the time, so I can't just come down in the middle of the night wearing his Y-fronts or whatever. So, yeah. So we were like, no at first.
Yeah.
And then they explained to us the cameras won't be there all the time. And they were even more excited when we said we had 6 dogs.
Yeah.
So in the end, we ended up doing it. But
I mean, those dogs have made iconic TV.
I mean, they're a bunch of idiots. They're so lovable, but they're a bunch of idiots.
Yeah. It's just the moment where your dad was getting like not attacked by them, but he was like, no, stop.
Oh, when he had the dog mask on.
Yeah.
It's always Dave. always Dave.
But what I'm really interested in is, like you said before, Gogglebox, like you're already having a really successful career. Like, where did that start? So, like you said, the family's a madhouse. Let's
Yeah.
paint the picture from that. What was Tom's life like as a child? Like, what was
So I'm one of 6.
kids?
Yeah, I'm
Wow.
one of 6 kids. I'm number 5,
Okay.
second youngest. 2 live with their mum.
Yeah.
So there was 4 in the house with my mum and dad, all the dogs, growing up. And I come from a long line of like grab wagon drivers and lorry drivers.
Right. Okay.
In Ireland. So like my dad grew up in Kildare, so that's where the Catholic kind of background come
Yeah.
from. My mum grew up always around music because of my granddad on her side. My mum and dad growing up didn't really have much opportunity to do stuff because weren't well off or anything like that. So when we were growing up, my dad worked 7 days a week from way before I was born to 7 days a week from like 5 a.m. till God knows what hour till he was done, really.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that we had opportunities that he didn't have growing up, and
Yeah.
so we didn't have to do the same work that he did. So my sister started going to dance classes as like something for her to do, and I was that young at the time that mum just had to bring me along. So I just started joining in at the back. Like, no one told me to do it. I just heard the music and got up and started joining in to
Just being a kid, having fun.
just to join in. And my
wants
mum
to-
turned around to my dad and said, "I think Thomas wants to dance." And at the time, like, my dad's a very like manly man, so
Is
my
he?
mum was like, "I don't know how he's gonna take it." Told my dad, and my dad was just like, "So let him dance if he wants to dance."
So your dad was just chill. Like,
Yeah,
it wasn't like a working. No, he's not doing that.
No. My dad
Yeah.
was always very much like, he never wanted. I think his exact words to my mum was that he never wanted like any of his kids to grow up and be like, "I could have been this, but you stopped me." So yeah, from young, I started off with tap, ballet, contemporary, jazz, all that kind of stuff. But obviously that wasn't the music I was listening to. So I actually got to. This is a long story.
It's okay. We've got time. That's the point. It's a podcast.
Got to about 10 or 11, and I auditioned for Billy Elliot the musical. Was basically me and my brother were meant to be going into Billy Elliot the musical as the first 2 brothers to go into the show. We've got the letter at home because when they told us, my mum asked for it in writing.
Right.
We've got a letter at home where they said that we were both going into the show. We were going to go to London, start learning the shows or whatever. So I was doing that. I went down there for a couple of weeks at a time to be learning stuff. And then at one point, one of the other boys that was going to be in the show got into an argument with him. Bit of a tussle. It was, it's not allowed. I ended up getting kicked out. My brother ended up doing it. And then after that, because that wasn't the music I was listening to, my mum was like, well, we've got to find something for him to do. So I ended up doing more street dance kind of stuff.
Yeah, but going back onto that moment, because I think that's important. It's a very ordinary thing. You're a young boy. You got into a tussle. Like, what was that? What was that about? And did that ever impact your feeling? It was like, I've lost an opportunity there.
A little bit. I mean, the lad said something about my mum, so I've never regretted it.
Yeah.
But it was more so like I was a very working class lad in a very middle class environment.
Okay.
So in terms of like the arts and stuff, especially going down the tap and ballet sort of route that I was at that time, it was like I'm from a very working class background, a very lad's lad, but I'm in this situation where everyone I'm around comes from money.
Yeah.
Is like kind of middle class. Like,
Did you feel like you was being judged?
not really that I was being judged. If anything, it was more that I was a bit of a. It gave me kind of a bit more of a comfort in my identity because I knew who I was.
Yeah.
Around them, but it was more so a little bit like. It made me realize the elitism around it.
Okay.
And as I've got older, I've been more grateful to my dad as well because I'm like, you worked that hard to be able to pay for that, and most kids coming from a working class background don't get that.
Yeah.
So it was just more so. It was a weird one to navigate because I'd never been in that environment.
Yeah.
So as much as I wasn't used to that, they weren't used to me at the same time.
So you was learning and almost like, and you're a kid as well. How old are you then?
11, 12.
So you are literally pushing those boundaries. You don't know what's what. You're in a new environment.
And it's like the boundaries that you would normally push within your own environment. You're now being like stuck in a complete different world.
Yeah.
And still trying to work those out at the same time. So yeah, it was a weird one. So then as I came back, in fact, 2 things, because that filled up so much of my time, the training for Billy Elliot, it was like every day. So now been dropped from that. My brother's doing it. So my brother's down in London. So my mum and dad have got a bit more like time to be able to take me more places and stuff as well. So at the age of 12, I started doing boxing and got more into the street dance side of stuff.
Okay.
So literally every night of the week, if I wasn't dancing, I was boxing. Some nights I would go boxing and then go straight to dancing. It was full on, but from early, everything I did, my mum and dad were like, if you're going to do it 100% or just do something else.
Yeah. At this point, like you're aged 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and you're doing ballet, tap. You start getting to break.
Yep.
You also boxing. Like,
Yeah.
that's quite a lot of like sport. Like, what was your mindset in this period? Was this just you being young and fun, or was you a competitive person?
I'm very competitive. I think growing up with like so many siblings, you end up built that way.
Yeah.
Like everything's a competition.
Food comes on the table. Who can eat the most first?
Everything. You'll be like pouring out. I remember like pouring out drinks of Vimto and stuff as a kid and like measuring up that we had the same amounts and stuff. Like everything is a competition. Like no one can have more than you.
Yeah.
Like it's always like that. But I've been like that all my life. Like
Yeah.
I'm very much, if I'm going to do something, I want to be the best at it.
Yeah.
Otherwise I don't see the point.
And then, well, speaking about becoming the best of it, you obviously started making a breakthrough in dance because, like you just mentioned, like Rita Ora, was it Wiley? Like,
Yeah.
like where did that come from?
I was 14, actually. I was 14. There was a big audition in London for FIFA.
Right.
It was like it was the FIFA World Congress sort of thing where all the delegates come together and talk about what they're going to do. And they always have a big opening ceremony and a big closing ceremony. And this year, their idea was to have junior delegates from each continent
Right.
to come and perform and do this big opening ceremony. So I think there was over 1,000 kids or something that went and auditioned. And at 14, I got the part as the kid from like Europe.
Just one
Yeah,
out of 1,000.
yeah.
That's a big odd.
Well, no, I think about 4 of the other kids ended up being from the UK.
Yeah.
3 or 4 did that. I mean, we flew out for a few weekends because we filmed like a whole VT thing and everything. Like it was huge. I was performing in a stadium, like the biggest stadium in Zurich. It was.
How old are you?
14. It was crazy.
So you're this working class kid from Manchester.
Yeah.
Dogs, loads of brothers, fights, and all of a sudden, I imagine you've not been to a size crew, people, audience.
No.
What was that feeling like?
Nuts. I remember being sat there just being like, this is, and you don't fully take it in as a kid, but I remember being sat there like, this is nuts. This is a different world.
Yeah.
During that time as well, my younger brother got seriously ill, was in hospital, was in a coma for a while.
God, I'm sorry.
No, it's like you didn't do it.
No, I know, but I just wasn't expecting you to say that because that sounds like obviously you've got a really close family.
Yeah, that
And-
was kind of, I think my outlook on everything kind of changed
Yeah.
when that happened. That was like a bit of a life-changing moment in terms of my outlook on stuff.
Is he okay now?
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
okay now. He's the brother that you see on Gogglebox.
Oh, right, okay. It was him.
Yeah, so when he was 15, I was 16, 17.
Yep.
He got sinusitis, like just like a cold that got infected. And instead of the infection coming forwards and out through
Yeah.
his like mucus and stuff, he must have had a tear or something in his membrane that separates your sinuses from your brain cavity.
Okay.
So it infected all his brain fluid. His brain swelled up and pushed against the right side of his skull.
Shit.
And yeah, so he was struggling to get up, had no energy, couldn't move his left side of his body really. Then my mum rushed him to hospital. He had a seizure on the way. And I helped put him in the car before he went. And I do this thing when traumatic stuff happens, or like if I get some really bad news, where I'll just shut off and go into autopilot and just like dive into something. So I went straight to training.
Oh, so that was happening. You just went to go laser focus into something.
Yeah, so I put him in the back of the car because he was too big for my mum to carry. So I put him in the back of the car. This was before he had the seizure. I didn't realise he'd
Okay.
had the seizure, otherwise it would have been different. My mum said she was taking him straight to hospital. So I've gone to training. Didn't realise that as I've gone to training, he started to have a seizure in the back of the car. He's gone to the hospital. They've put him in a drug-induced coma, given him a bunch of brain surgeries, told my mum and dad he had a 1 in 10 chance of survival. He was on the Manchester Royal Infirmary, the ICU for the children's ward, which is like the sickest kids in the country,
Yeah.
basically. So he was on there, was on a coma, was in a coma for a while. They had to keep a part of his skull out so they could keep doing brain surgeries. Was covered in tubes.
Shit.
Yeah, it was when he came out the coma. He had to learn to walk again because he's was completely paralyzed on his left hand side. Was epileptic. A bunch of stuff, like his brain will always be scarred on the right side. No, yeah, the right side. So he'll always have like a slight left-sided weakness. Like he's like probably the most inspirational person in my life. Like he came out of that and now like learnt to walk again, to run again, got into football through Manchester United's foundation. Through that, like got a lot of his mobility back, and then now coaches other kids with disabilities through Manchester United's foundation as well.
Really not let that beat him, has he?
No. And the first thing he said when he woke up out of the coma, well, one of the first things he said to my mum was that he's glad it happened to him and not me because I wouldn't be able to live without dancing.
Wow. Honestly, like, as if when you first wake up from something that's like that, that's not what you'd expect to.
No.
That's what's the word for that? Selfless.
Yeah, that's my little brother.
Just in general for anyone that might be listening, because that all came from a cold.
Yep.
Is there anything that can bring awareness of like to how to stop that, or is it just like a freak of nature kind of thing?
It's like a 1 in however many million chance. Like
yeah.
Like
Right.
when it happened, I think they actually did. When it happened, they wrote a paper on it whilst he was in the
Like a medical paper.
yeah, whilst he was in the hospital because it's that rare.
Wow. Well, thank God that he made that through that, and he is okay. And yeah, I'm sorry that happened, but like
No,
it's
it's all right.
it's awesome that he's made it through, and because that story could go a completely different way.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, like that, I went completely off topic there.
No,
that was
that's okay.
yeah, that was the turning point for me where even my mum and dad were like, you know what, life's short, go and do what you want to do.
Hey, I just wanted to take a moment and say thank you for listening, and give one of you loyal listeners a chance to win a year-long supply of Furosity to show appreciation for all your support. To enter, all you need to do is subscribe to our podcast on your favourite streaming platform and share your favourite episode on social media. But don't forget to tag us so we can see it. We really do appreciate you, and thank you for listening. So, diving back in, you've obviously got all of these moments, and you've obviously got a good head on your shoulders. You've got a good family. You're doing those like controlling the uncontrollables. Sorry, controlling the controllables.
I've not always had a good head on my shoulders, by the way.
Okay.
That's literally.
Then let's dive into that. What?
Oh no, like I mean, like just as a kid, like I wasn't always the most rational
Okay.
kid. Like, well, now we know that I'm autistic, but
Mhm.
like as a kid, if things didn't go like not my own way, but the way that I wanted to do things, because I think very logically,
Yeah.
I would just fly off the handle and lose my temper. And I had now I'm like, it wasn't losing my temper and having a really bad temper. It was actually like autistic meltdowns that we
Yeah.
didn't know I was autistic.
So when was the moment that you did kind of get? When did you find out that you had it? Like, how did that come
I was
around?
28.
28. You found out you had autism when you was 28.
Yeah.
You've dealt with it for 28 years of your life and you didn't know.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah, about 28 years.
What made you get tested or find out, and what? Tell
Well,
me.
So I've got a nephew that's autistic.
Yeah.
Was already diagnosed at the time. I've now got his younger sister, a niece, is suspected of having autism, and I've got another nephew that's at the time suspected of having autism,
Right.
who was living with my mum and dad.
Okay.
So when I was around my mum and dad's and stuff, like they'd be like, "Oh, you used to do that," and they'd always point out stuff that I used to do when I was a kid
Start getting
that he was
similarities.
doing. Yeah, he also, like, if things didn't go his way, would have a little bit of a meltdown kind of thing. And people had said all my life, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, but you're on the spectrum," like kind of as a throwaway comment, almost as if like
Did that ever affect you?
not really. I've always been very secure in who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I think partially because I always excelled in stuff that I cared about. I kind of didn't really care too much about what other people.
You had confidence that, yeah, but I'll do this. It's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of. Like, not in an arrogant way, but in a way of like, no one could ever make me doubt my self-worth because I excelled in the thing that I care about.
There's a power in that.
Yeah.
And for people listening, because it is getting talked about more.
Mhm.
People are starting to understand what autism is. But
100%.
like right now, for anyone that is listening that might not know, like what to you? Can you describe like autism? And I also heard you say two very technical terms,
Yeah.
which is was it some neuro?
Neurotypical and neurodivergent.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Like, could you describe autism and the definitions of those?
Yeah, so neurodivergent is just anyone that processes things differently. So people with like our brains, in layman's terms, are wired differently.
Mm.
So like ADHD, autism. I think there's certain other disorders as well that are to do with like there's like a non-verbal something disorder. The one that Chris Rock has.
Oh yeah.
It's like it's not autism. It's just in terms of the communication side of things. But yeah, stuff like that. They're all neurodivergences,
Mm.
which basically means we're neurologically diverse. We're like not the typical, which would be how you process things.
Okay.
So we, like, for example, autistic people tend to process logic before emotion.
Right.
Typically,
Yeah.
like, not all, but like neurotypical people tend to act on emotion and then logic.
Okay. So neurotypical is like you appreciate how someone's feeling. So in a room, it might be able to read them as in like, well, that person's feeling sad.
Mm.
So I need to change the way I speak to them right now. Whereas atypical, sorry, not atypical. So neurotypical,
Neurodivergent.
neurodivergent, neurodivergent are logic based. So
Well, autistic people
Yeah.
are logic based because ADHD is still neurodivergent,
right, okay,
but that's a different way of processing to autistic.
yeah. I just want to try and
Yeah, so there's
make it spelled out because I think it's really, really interesting to understand.
so like neurodivergent, like neurodiverse, is the umbrella term for
Okay.
all the different sort of ways of processing information that's not neurotypical.
Okay.
But then within that, you have autism, ADHD, the non-verbal thing.
Yeah.
Like there's loads of them.
Because I'm just breaking that down. So someone with autism might, if that person I was just speaking about that's upset or whatever,
Yep.
someone that processes emotions normally might change the way they're about to ask a question. Whereas if someone with autism comes in and they're thinking about, no, I still need to know the answer to that question, even
Yeah.
if they're upset, but you might not
Yeah.
understand.
So, yeah, but then
Yeah.
we also learn as well,
Okay.
the same way that everyone else does. So, like as a kid, I used to word things horrifically. Like I was at a dance competition one time, and one of the girls that went to our dance school had done her makeup differently,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh, your makeup looks weird." To me, I just meant it looks different to usual
Okay.
because that's the definition of weird.
Yeah.
But obviously, the connotations of the word weird is that it's negative.
Yeah.
So she's in.
I'm about to sneeze. I'm so
Sorry.
sorry. Oh, it's gone away. It's gone away.
There you go.
Go on.
So then, yeah. So then, next thing, she's crying, and her mum's saying to me, "Why would your Tom say that to?" And my mum's looking at me like, "Why would you say that?" And I'm like, "But it looks weird. It's not the same as usual." Like,
Got you.
and
So
it
you
was just-
struggle to read that social situation.
yeah. So it's like social cues, stuff like that. But having known that happened, you're then conscious of it. Moving forward, you wouldn't necessarily make the same mistake again when you're thinking of it.
Yeah.
Like, there's still times now that I'll word things badly or say something that seems very direct and very blunt,
Yeah.
but it's not because I'm rude or anything like that. It's just because I'm getting straight to the point
Yeah.
and like cutting out all the waffle.
Hold up. I'm sorry to pull you away from the conversation, but did you know you can get Furosity in Iceland, Asda, Poundland, Booker, and WH Smith? So what are you waiting for? Now back to the show. Right, diving back a little bit because we went off there. It was like it was great to go into it all because I know it's something that you're a massive advocate for, and it's so good that you're so open and honest about that on social channels.
Thank you. I think when I found out, I know initially it was so that, you know, my nephew would have someone that he can speak to about it, and also so he couldn't use it as an excuse, because if he ever said I can't do this, because then they'll be like, well, your Uncle Tom did it.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, the same way that like I wanted to kind of be that person for him, I was like, there's probably a bunch of kids out there that are in the same position that don't have an older family member, or like kids that like are like how I felt when I was growing up, when I was the one saying the wrong things in social situations and stuff like. So I'm like, if I can be the person that I could have had growing up, then I should do that. Like, I guess you should always leave the world in a better place than you found it. Do you know what I mean? So
1000%. What a sentence.
Got to try.
And then in terms of your kind of growth point, obviously you've dealt with that incredibly whilst you're touring around like Vegas and doing all of these incredible shows. But then when was the moment which I know you said Gogglebox found you, but how old was you when Gogglebox came in?
Yeah, so I'm in Manchester. It's I left in 2020 and I'd been on there for 6.5 years, 7 years. 2013? Yeah, 2013.
Yeah. Which
So I would have been 20.
you'd have been 20.
Yeah, young.
So you go in Gogglebox, you build this audience, and then obviously you kind of break away. That must have been a mad time. Did people start recognizing you on the street?
Yeah, I mean, they had from being on Gogglebox anyway. 'Cause
Yeah.
It's like one of Channel 4's biggest shows, but it was always kind of, if I was with my family, it would be loads.
Right.
And then when we were by ourselves, not as much.
And then what's that journey been like since then? Has it been like a nice feeling or?
Yeah, so I've been doing a lot of stuff on social media. A lot of like getting back to my dance stuff. Like,
so you're obviously doing all these like TV shows, but in terms of dance, like, is that now your next biggest step? Is that what you're focusing solely on?
yeah, so I did the BBC, not BBC. I did the Capital Jingle Bell Ball.
Okay.
So that was at the O2 Arena, and I performed my own choreography with my own backing dancers on the stage. So it's like it was a sold out O2 Arena as well.
Yeah.
So obviously there's other headlining acts and stuff that are there at the time, but I think I'm the first solo dancer to perform at a sold out O2 Arena with my own backing dancers as the act rather than like behind a singer.
Wow, that's almost like the step on from that Rita Ora moment.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I want to be doing stuff now. It's like I want to be putting dance at the forefront where it's like, yeah, I'm a dancer, but that doesn't mean I just have to dress up other people's stuff. Like I can be the art in my own sense. I can be at the forefront doing my own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That mindset's awesome to have, mate. It's like you've got your goal and it's all or nothing. You're going for it, and
It's the only way to do it.
it's the only way to do it. And like you say, those building blocks, every single thing. If you've not got a plan B, only the plan A. Dance.
Just plan A.
Yeah. Mate, it's sick.
Plan A and plan 1. There's no plan B.
To be honest, I think that probably brings us to a good old episode. I think I've gone through everything that you're kind of going through, right? Your life and where you've
pretty
been
much.
and what you've discovered, and it's honestly an inspiration, mate. And I've watched your TikToks and I learn from your things, and your dance career is like epic, and I wish you every kind of look on that.
Thank you. I appreciate that, man.
But before we do run away, do you like protein bars?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to do another taste test?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. So
Just so you know, I'm going to say it's great every time because Tyson Fury is kind of big.
no, do be brutally honest.
Okay,
this is a new product. There's 2 flavors. There's caramel and there's chocolate fudge brownie.
Okay.
So which one do you want to try first?
I'm trying both.
Yeah. You can try both.
It's going to be one by the end of it.
Yeah.
I'll go caramel first and we'll finish on the chocolate fudge
Okay,
brownie.
cool. Do you usually have a preference?
Chocolate fudge brownie.
Okay, so we're saving the.
Yeah. I mean, this is another one of my autism things. Like, as a kid, I used to always eat, like, my food and leave the best bit on my plate till last.
Yeah.
Because I was like, then I get to keep that taste in my mouth for long.
Oh, okay. I won't lie, I can do that.
Unless I was eating out, because then my dad used to always be like, you eat the meat first because it's the most expensive bit. You can have that little tip for free. If you want to save the monies, eat the meat first. But yeah, if I was at home, I'd save the best bit till last.
Sometimes though, it's like when I get a steak or something, it's not because it's the most expensive bit, it's just because I'm really excited to eat it.
I get that.
Yeah.
My dad would not forgive me if I left the steak.
Yeah, I get that.
It's about £4.30 worth of steak there.
So go on, we're going for the caramel bite.
That's banging, you know.
Yeah? Yeah, you're not just saying it because you're scared of Tyson.
Secondary. Primary, it is actually really good.
Yeah. No, mate, it's had a glowing response, every single person, and it's not because we've been forcing it. It's like genuinely such a good protein bar. 20 grams of protein.
Same kind of thing as that. Like, it doesn't have the normal protein bar like aftertaste thing.
But now we're on to our potentially front running favourite.
Yeah.
So you're a big chocolate. brownie fan.
Yeah, if this doesn't go well,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be upset. 'Cause
Okay.
that's set the bar high.
Okay.
No pun intended.
Oh. Okay.
Put the bar high.
A little drum roll. Ooh.
In fact, there's a lot of pressure on me eating a chocolate bar now.
I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding.
Oh no, that's good.
Yeah, it is. You had that moment that I was like, oh, here he is. He prefers the caramel, but no, chocolate fudge brownie.
Very good.
Yeah, we're glad we saved it to last.
Mm.
Yeah, okay. I feel like you're favouring
I'm not
the
sure
caramel.
which one I prefer though.
I feel like you're preferring the caramel.
I think I did prefer the chocolate.
Yeah?
I think I did prefer the chocolate fudge brownie, but the caramel is closer than I thought it would be.
Yeah. What it might have been, we've just tasted 2 bars straight after each other.
It could be that.
We could be getting a combo. Caramel chocolate fudge brownie combo.
Maybe that's the next flavour.
You heard it here first.
Combo
Jossie.
deal. I want 10%.
Right, so we'll see a boom following into shot. See that there?
Oh, yeah?
Bosh. It means we can get up now. We've got another game for you to play.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've got a game.
And now we're doing our challenge with all of the guests where we do a pack punch. However, who do you reckon we're going to beat?
These are high scores, though, you know.
They are high
Because he's an MMA fighter.
He is. He's a scary MMA fighter.
And he's mid-table. As a United fan, as long as I beat Danny Simpson, I'm happy.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Grime Gran. Got an arm on her. Shit. Yeah?
Yeah? I'm not going to give you a countdown on your own time. Give it a big hit.
Okay.
Sounding powerful. That's not stopping.
Reckon.
You're in the 800s here.
Do you think?
8, 0, 4, 5, 6,
Oi,
7, 8,
oi.
9, 10. 8, 10. Mate,
I'll take that.
you beat Grime Gran.
I'll take that. I beat Grime Gran.
You beat Grime Gran. 8, 10.
Oi.
Above Scott Thomas as well.
I'm not sure
Bloody
that's the
hell.
biggest flex to say I beat Grime Gran, but I'll take it.
Just below Mark. Here we go, a minute.
Is it 8-10 you said?
8, 10, yeah. I think that'll fit on there.
There you go.
You have absolutely smashed that. Not only can you dance, you can hit as well. You did say you did boxing.
See? Tommy
There
Two
you go.
Guns.
Thank you for watching this podcast. And if you're enjoying these episodes, let us know by subscribing to whichever channel you're listening through. It makes a huge difference, which allows us to grow and bring you better content.